24. So happy birthday to them, and happy birthday to you if it's a big day of celebrations. Up here in the northeast of the country, a couple of wickets today for Jack Carson, so he's got plenty to celebrate. And he's Lyndon James bowling outside the off stump to Jadeja.
Yeah, it's good to see that the fast bowlers are still running and still trying hard. Try and pick up a couple of wickets here. Don't know what the batting order looks like for India at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if Shardul Thakur walks in next. So we just have to keep an eye on that, the batting order. Rohit, Sharma, KL, Rahul. I doubt they're going to come out to bat. It might be the bowlers who get an opportunity to have a knock if they have to come out.
There's Lyndon James again. Energetic, bouncy action bowls. This one just shapes away, I think, from Jadeja. Withdrew his bat inside the line. Certainly wasn't interested in chasing after it. Yeah, jacked away off the seam. That nice little bit of movement from Lyndon James. Talking to Kevin earlier, it'd be very fascinating to follow his career over the next few years, just to see if he does fulfil all the early potential and become a genuine all-rounder, because he's perfectly capable of racking up big scores at number 5, and he's doing a good job here with the ball. Next one's pushed up to mid-off. Opened the bowling this morning for the first class counties 11.
It's been steady. He's been very steady with his line and length, and as you mentioned, it could be a genuine all-rounder in the next few years, as long as he can keep his calm, he can keep his cool, and just keep working hard on his skills in both batting and bowling. A very good prospect.
It is tough, isn't it, to sort of absolutely master both disciplines. He's in again and bowls, and this one's eased into the offside, and there's no run. You know, even the very best, you know, think of somebody like Ben Stokes. I mean, he's had plenty of injuries, and there's been lots of occasions when he's been selected either for his county or for England just purely as a batsman because of the toll it's taken on his body. Yeah. So this young man's, you know, he's got to be handled properly, hasn't he?
I mean, it's all about the load management, how the team management manages load and how much cricket are they playing, and at the moment they're playing a lot of cricket globally.
Here is Lyndon James again, and he'll hope to be playing cricket globally for many years to come. Still at the early stage of his career. Ends the over with one that just kept a whisker low, but it's a maiden to start the afternoon. His figures 6 overs, 3 maidens, none for 11.
Yeah, good figures. And also it's very important as a player you understand your body. I think that's the most important thing to do. And then you need to make those big calls if you have to leave a series, if you have to leave one of those T20 tournaments, if he gets picked in the future. There's so much cricket going on around the world. There's T10 in Dubai, there's IPL, there's Big Bash, there's Premier Leagues happening right, left and centre everywhere in the world. So at the end of the day, it's your body. You need to be able to manage it. You need to have that understanding of how much load I can take. And after that, you've got a huge season of county cricket with the Vitality Blast, with the hundreds, this 50 over comp here. There's so much cricket.
It's going to be Jack Carson from the Lumley end. Got both the wickets to fall, and his first delivery right on the money, blocked by Hanuma Vihari.
Yeah, he also looks like somebody who can turn out to be a very, very good spinner. Really got a lovely action, very smooth.
This is a breakthrough season, and like so many of the youngsters in this first class counties 11 will take an awful lot from this game. You can play week in, week out, I guess, in the county championship, but there is always that thought there is another step up, and what's it like to bowl against the very top players. And some of them have had the opportunity here. Next ball just played into the gap on the leg side, Miles Fields, but that's the first single of the afternoon session. 114 for 2 India.
And also as a spinner, you've got to learn long spells. That's so important. And the more he plays, the more he bowls, the more he'll learn about the variations, his own variations with the ball. And you need to have that understanding.
Comes round the wicket to bowl to Jadeja. Pushes it out again as far as Miles in the covers. And there's no run. Very pleasant lunch. Many thanks to Durham County Cricket Club. The hospitality has been absolutely first class. I understand from Abhishek and from Kevin on the first 2 days, but certainly We're treated like princes today. 114 for 2.
Yeah, the lunch has been brilliant for the past 3 days. We've been very well looked after, really well here at the Durham County Cricket Ground.
114 for 2. Next ball again, Jadeja blocks, and of course the Indians are staying here for a little while longer. They'll have an opportunity for plenty of practice days out here. Really will begin to feel like home, I guess, by the time they leave here and head south for Nottingham for the first test, which begins a fortnight today.
This is the first time I've been to Durham. I absolutely love the town centre. It's got so much history and heritage, and I'm sure these players, they couldn't have stayed at a better place, to be honest. If they had to stay for a long time, the wives, the families here, they can probably go for a little stroll, and it's a lovely little city to walk around.
Down in Durham.
Yeah, down in Durham, yes.
Yeah.
It's by the river. You can have those long walks by the river, some lovely cathedral.
Very nice indeed.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of building work going on as well. I was there last week, and there's a number of buildings that have shot up just in the 12 months since we're here, since last summer. Here's Lyndon James into Vihari. He'll get a run here, just dropping it on the leg side, moves on to 13. This is a nice little place we're in as well, Chesterley Street, and there's the Ropery Lane Cricket Club down the ground, Chesterley Street Cricket Club, where Durham started before this ground was built. They played here, and then they played at the racecourse, the University Ground in Durham, between 1992 and 1994, and this ground opened in 95. Quite a big playing area, and the ropes are quite well out for this game as Lyndon James bowls and Jadeja defends. Last week, though, when we came for the county championship match, Durham needed to get maximum batting points against Nottinghamshire, and they brought the rope in to the absolute minimum that they could in for the county championship. It was 60 yards all the way round. It was a very small boundary.
Was there a lot of 6s and 4s then?
There weren't actually. It didn't necessarily turn out into that sort of game. We had a lot of rain. We had a lot of time off the field rather than on it. Next ball is pushed into the offside, and there'll be runs here. It evades the dive of Rehan Ahmed, the sub-fielder from Leicestershire, who took a sharp catch at leg slip or backward short leg this morning to dismiss Cheteshwar Pujara. They go through for 3 runs, 118 for 2.
It was played on the rise. It was a lovely looking shot from Ravindra Jadeja. He waited nicely on that ball, and they just leant forward, found the gap, and easy 3 runs. He's been in very good form over the last couple of years, especially with the bat. He's bowled brilliantly, but especially with the bat. He's matured as a cricketer in the last couple of years, and he's done exceptionally well at number 7 for India.
Here comes Lyndon James again. Vihari pushes this into the offside, fielded by Haseeb Hameed. What a day he had yesterday. Splendid century. Did quite chuckle to myself at the prospect of him, as Kevin said on air, just reaching 3 figures and tucking his bat under his arm and saying, right, thank you fellas, I've had my practice, I'm retiring myself. But he didn't. He went on a little longer. Comes Lyndon James again, lengthening his stride, bowls to Vihari. Ball is played on the leg side, stopped by Craig Miles, not particularly cleanly, but he prevents the run nonetheless.
Yeah, he's been impressive. Miles especially has bowled really well in this whole match. From day one he's been on the money, but at the moment James doing a wonderful job. He bowled well in the first innings, picked up 2 very important wickets, Rohit Sharma and Mayank Agarwal. The one he got, Mayank Agarwal, was an absolute beauty.
Was indeed. This one is worked to the right of Miles, who does really well, picks it up and shies at the non-striker's end. There's no run. Craig Miles was 27 on the first day of this match, former Gloucestershire player, and in the first innings as well he also picked up his 300th first class wicket. 119 for 2 at the end of the over.
They're going alright, they're batting really well. Both these players have been very patient. and both on 14. It's just that Jadeja has faced 37 deliveries for his 14 and Vihari has faced 35. At some point they were both on the same number of balls and the same number of runs, which is it doesn't happen very often in cricket.
To be Carson to continue. Seems a very quiet day in the health club. Sometimes when you're here you can see people on those spinning machines, they call it, don't they? All the bicycling that they do on there, and you can see all sorts of things normally, but very, very quiet at the moment. There's just one person on the balcony just quietly getting a peek of the cricket as Carson comes in to bowl to Vihari.
It looks a lovely facility. I was just talking to some of the boys from Durham County upstairs, and I was just, it's amazing that they sell tickets for the balcony when there's a test match or there is any international game or even county matches. Brilliant.
119 for 2. Next ball is going to bring an LBW appeal there. Quickly turned down by Hassan Adnan. Outside the line, it hit him. Again, just getting on the front foot there, Vihari, but he was well outside the line. Very optimistic appeal from young Carson. Comes in again. Economical approach. Bowls nicely. Lots of revolutions on the ball, and Vihari again will just block it out to Miles on the leg side.
He's bowled well. He's just getting the ball to dip a little bit. He's getting the ball to go up and down. We often talk about getting the ball above the eyelid, and that's exactly what he has done.
119 for 2. Vihari defends this one, so Carson quickly getting through his over. 4 dot balls already. Almost seems as if the over's only just started. Both batsmen again on 14. Neck and neck. 119 for 2. Next delivery defended by Vihari. The 2 Indian batsmen to be dismissed. Agarwal caught by Washington Sundar at mid-on off the bowling of Carson. He made 47. That was 87 for 1. And Cheteshwar Pujara caught by the Subri and Ahmed off Carson for 38. Final ball of the over pushed to mid-off. Maiden, beg your pardon. 119 for 2. When Pujara was dismissed, it was 88 for 2. So this pair have added 31 so far.
Yeah, they're going very steady, not taking many risks. I thought they'll be batting a bit more freely than they have so far, especially with Vihari and Jadeja being out there. You always feel like there will be a few more shots played, but at the moment both these players have been very, very cautious. Probably they've been ordered or they've been asked by the dressing room that no one is coming out if you guys get out. So you might as well stay there and make sure you don't get out, because Rohit doesn't fancy a bat, not as KL Rahul. Who's left with then? All the bowlers.
119 for 2. There's Lyndon James into Ravi Jadeja. A little push and run. No, Washington Sundar wasn't going to quickly get to that and throw it towards the stumps. Had it been another fielder, I think they might just have had an attempt to try and run him out. No, your fielder pushed it straight to his mate there, did Jadeja, and took the single, but it was a sharp one.
Yeah, it was a sharp single. As you mentioned, if it was there's anybody else apart from Sundar, they would have definitely tried to have a shot at the stumps. But Sundar probably knows the game plan. He was in the Indian dressing room. And there's I think Axar Patel will be the next one to come in.
This one's eased to backward point, and there's no run. Washington Sundar's had a very, very quiet game, hasn't he? He didn't bowl in the India first innings, only made 1 yesterday, and hasn't had a bowl in this innings. So he's just taking up a place, really. He's fulfilling a role. He's playing as a fielder, but in terms of actual meaningful match practice with bat or ball, he's not really had a deal.
He scored a run. Has nearly fielded for 150 odd overs.
Yeah. On punishment posting, they call it. Next ball worked away to leg, and there'll be at least 3 here, probably 4. Rehan Ahmed's after it. Abhishek already signalling 4 as it left the bat. Lovely sweet bit of timing by Vihari. Axar Patel, you just mentioned, he played a little bit of cricket here at Durham, and in his first match he scored 95 not out, and apparently the 9th wicket went down and they crossed. So he was at the non-strikers end for a new over. And the new batsman was a fellow called Chris Rushworth, who you probably will know, but some of our listeners abroad might not. He's a real hero in these parts. Durham's leading wicket taker of all time. Terrific player. Comes in at number 11 for Durham. 124 for 2 here. This one's edged just short, I think, of first slip. Rob Yates took it cleanly enough, didn't quite carry. Yep, well stopped. So Axar Patel, 95 not out, said to Chris Rushworth, can you bat? Yep. Anyway, when he got the opportunity, Axar Patel took a single, brought Rushworth onto strike, and he got out straight away. And he was he was sort of...
He was asked the wrong question. He was asked, can you bat? He said yes, but it doesn't mean that he can't get out. Axar Patel didn't ask him the right question there.
Next ball goes through to the keeper. 124 for 2.
The question should have been, can you bat and remain not out for the remaining number of deliveries?
Can you support me?
Can you support me?
Yeah.
If you ask anybody you can bat, he'll say yes. But yeah, Axar Patel, he's a good player. He's a very, very good player. Handy bowler. I think England would say a lot more than handy bowler. He got 27 wickets in 3 tests.
Yeah.
But those were different conditions. Yesterday, I think the county boys played him beautifully, especially Hameed. Took a liking to him. Special liking, I would say.
124 for 2. Next ball, and it's blocked out onto the offside. Yeah, it's extraordinary to think that possibly he's not even guaranteed a place in the starting 11.
I don't think he will have a place in the starting 11, because you can't replace Ravindra Jadeja if he's fit. He's a gun player. He's one of the best all-rounders in world cricket at the moment in current scenario. The way he's batting and bowling, and I think the best fielder without doubt in world cricket. So it's very hard to replace somebody like him.
Now that's praise indeed. The best fielder without doubt in world cricket.
One of the best. Yeah, I mean he'll be in the top 3. I wouldn't. Yeah, but he is right up there. He's right up there.
124 for 2. Just during the course of this over, before we bring Kevin Howells back to join us, we'll ask Abhishek who he thinks are the big winners over the 3 days here of this game as Carson bowls. And again, Jadeja rocks forward. It certainly struck the pad, but not a lot doing for the young Sussex spinner. The big winners, I guess, on each side. The 2 Centurions, they'll be the main recipients of the honours when they sort of divvied out for what's happened in this game as Carson bowls, cut away by Jadeja. There's protection out on the boundary there with Hameed, and a single taken. 125 for 2.
I think both teams have got a lot out of this game. The county 11, obviously the selectors have got to see a lot of young talent which is coming up the ranks in Indian English cricket. So which is always good to know that there's some good spinners, a very good wicket keeper. He's still very young, playing his first class game, making his debut against India.
Carson bowls, and this one's hit back at him, nicely taken. It was played into the ground by Vihari, but Carson did really well to take it off his own bowling.
And then you've got the likes of Patterson-White, who's impressed everyone. Carson impressed everyone. Miles has been brilliant with the ball, as I mentioned earlier. So there's a lot of positives.
Next ball is defended. Of course, I think the first class counties 11 have done particularly well, given that a side has been put together essentially from the first class counties that didn't have a game this week. So that there's an awful lot of counties that have been involved. So the likes of Nottinghamshire and Warwickshire each got 3 players here playing. 125 for 2. It's played on the leg side. Of course, on the first morning, it was then agreed that a couple of the spaces would be allocated to the Indian squad players, Avesh Khan, Washington Sundar.
Yeah.
James Bracey, the wicket keeper, unable to play after coming into contact with somebody who tested positive for COVID. End of the over, 125 for 2. So I think they've done well to put a competitive side out there, and I think they've taken an awful lot from it. More from Abhishek, and then you'll be joined for the first time this afternoon by Kevin Howells.
I think it's been a very, very competitive game, especially in the first 2 days. Yes, we have seen that It's the third day. Body language isn't exactly the way it was in the first couple of days, but that's a given, because obviously the county championship is batting for the bowling for the second time. India batting for the second time in the last 3 days, and pretty much everyone has got whatever they needed out of this game already, it seems like it. So at the moment, it's just, I think they're all, I don't know how long this game is going to carry on, but at the moment, yeah, everyone is just the batsmen are trying to be out there in the middle and spend as much time as possible, try and remain not out. Bowlers are trying to just bowl on a good spot and just try and see how long they can carry on.
Indeed. How long can any of us carry on?
Carry on.
That's the question the nation's asking at the moment. And the question that the captain, Will Rhodes, is asking now of Lyndon James, how much longer can you carry on, Lyndon?
Yeah.
And he's just said, not at all, Skip. And he said, well, tough.
Unfortunately, you still have to bowl another 5 overs.
Oh, dear. No. Hey, he's got to come in now. I said it before about somebody else. I'm going to hold on to this thought. Somebody's going to tear in and take a hat-trick. A first-class hat-trick. I wish he'd stop looking at me like that. I can live in my own world if I want. Jadeja will turn that ball onto the onside. It'll have to be... Oh, that could be run out. And, you know, if there's any sense of justice in the world, the finger is going to be raised on that one. But you're giving it not out. Come on. Where's your sense of adventure and drama? Don't tell me it's because it's not.
No, I did give it out first. But then after looking at the replay, yeah, I was...
There's no need to do that. There's no need to look at the replay.
Didn't get it right this time.
Because, you know, if the umpire had given that, there'd be no DRS or anything like that. It'd been off.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to see who's padded up next. I can't make out if anybody's padded up next. All the officials are on the balcony. The players are up there.
Do you know what I'd like to see? I'll tell you what I'd like to see. I'd like to see Ravi. I'd like to see Ravi Shastri come out for a challenge, see if he can get and knock 6 sixes. Let's finish off the game with a Ravi Shastri challenge.
Probably he could, but you just have to bring the boundary a bit shorter. And bowl a few long hops, full tosses maybe.
Oh,
and the boundary needs to be really close though.
Oh, there's some pads, look.
Oh, Shardul Thakur, I was expecting him to be padded up, and maybe Axar Patel.
Well, there we are.
They showed me who's padded up.
That's right, next delivery in bowls and push back up to the bowler. I think if we saw Ravi, I think he's actually up on the top tier with the families. A lot of children running around up there as well, having a bit of fun up on the top tier. So the lead is 217 runs. It's important we get all the main details out there. 217 in front, 126 for 2. Vihari on 18, Jadeja on 17. This is Lyndon James willfully bowling his 9th over in bowls and pushed up to mid-on and no run. And still, I mean, we've still got a fielder there at short mid-off, in a catching position just on the edge of the strip. I swear it was Darren Lehman. I think it was Darren Lehman was the first one I ever saw take up that position. Australian cricketer, but you know, I'd like to think it was just a few years ago, but actually if it was Darren that did it, it's quite a few years ago. Darren, of course, in the country is head coach with the Northern Superchargers in the 100 competition down the road there in Leeds. Next ball bowled and pushed into the offside. There'll be no run. I did see a tweet last night post the 100 where someone I'm not saying it didn't happen, but somebody said it happened, that they were on the tube leaving the ground and people were talking about the cricket, and somebody said that Surrey had won last night's match, and because you know the names obviously have changed in the teams. I'd really liked it if they said Surrey and Kent have won that match, because of course that's the relationship there in between the counties, because Durham of course are very much part of the Northern Superchargers as well. Next delivery bowled and pushed into the offside. Hameed will gather the ball there. So in the north you've got 2 teams together in Yorkshire and Durham making up the Superchargers, and then you've got Lancashire and Cumbria. Don't forget Cumbria, mustn't do that, part of the Manchester Originals.
It's great to get that many teams together and just making a combination of between 2 teams and giving opportunity to a lot of players to play in the 100.
Next ball bowled, full and past the off stump and taken low down by the keeper. And no run, the end of that over. So 51 left in the day's play as a minimum. Let's see if we get those in. 217's the lead. India 126 for 2. Vihari on 18. Jadeja on 17. Have you selected your 11 for Nottingham? Indian 11 this is for Nottingham.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. If you want to know my 11.
I
think it's pretty simple. I don't think anybody needs to select them. It's free. They've selected themselves. They are the only doubt. There's only one doubt in my mind. So it's got to be obviously Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Ajinkya Rahane, Cheteshwar, Pujara, that's 4, Rishabh Pant 5, Jadeja 6, Bumrah, Shami 7, 8, Ishan Sharma 9, and then they've got to take that call if it's going to be Ashwin or is going to be Shiraz. Looking at the pitch, what conditions are there? Is it got a bit of tinge of grass, or is it a placid batting wicket, a good batting wicket? Probably there they're going to opt for 3 fast bowlers and 2 spinners, and Ashwin comes in. And the opening slot, is it going to be Mayank Agarwal or KL Rahul? I'll probably go with KL Rahul the way he has batted in the first innings, though he didn't open, but still he looks solid at the moment.
Jadeja here is on 17. Yes, he definitely did. And you'd always like a bit of reward for a good effort in the preview. I mean, they'll have two-day games against each other. I mean, it's an inter-squad set up here behind closed doors next week, but there's some sort of reward for a very fine knock in this game. And forward into the offside and no run there. So we wait and see. Yeah, and the forecast is the weather is supposedly really good again into next week. I think maybe breaks the end of next week. Whether that runs into the week of the Test match, I don't know. And this one is driven up to mid-off. There'll be no run. Obviously a lot of preparation done on the Test strip for a long time building up to it, but those last few days leading into a Test match are important days, and the ground staff won't want it wet to prevent them from getting their preparations just right on that pitch. So we'll wait and see what happens there, of course. It's Carson continuing to bowl, the use of the feet, and that's been hoisted away by Jadeja over long on, and it's gone for 4, and he moves to 21 and takes India up to 130 for 2, a lead of 221. I'm determined to give the match position here all the time, you know, just in case there is a shock declaration and we find once again that Haseeb comes running out saying, okay, we can knock these off. We'll knock these off.
I doubt there will be any shock declaration.
Will you stop with your logic and your truth? Let us dream and imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine. We can imagine a lot of things here. I can imagine that India could declare now and game could be called off and we are done.
Well, you could imagine that, apparently.
We can go home. Yeah. But I don't think that's going to happen.
You may be going home, I won't be.
Yeah, I've got a long train journey back to London after this.
To London? You could walk it. 2 deliveries remaining, pushed into the offside. There'll be no run. So it's 130 for 2. I do wish that we had a bit more sunshine again today. This cloud is just hung over us, and I really don't think it's going to disappear now. It looks set, and it's a bit of a surprise because there is a breeze blowing. You can see that on the flags away to our left-hand side. Driven to mid-off, and Sundar gets down to it, but not very well. It has been an interesting 3 days for him. I'd love to know what's going through his mind, really, out there. But, you know, showing good attitude. 130 for 2 at the end of that over.
I can say the least. I don't think the enthusiasm is the same which he had on the first day. And then when he found out that I've got to play for the other side, I've got to field first for 90 overs without getting a ball because of the injury he has at the moment on his fingers. And then to get out to an absolute peach of a ball from Shiraz for 1. Not the best game for Sundar. Probably one of his low points in his cricketing career so far.
Oh, come now. It's a lovely field to stand in. Of all the fields you're going to stand in. But yeah, so, and of course, as we must remind you, because of the COVID situation, well, even though he's playing for the County 11, he's in the Indian dressing room still, so all the chat that's going on, and don't worry lads, we're only going to spend 1 day in the field. Oh, sorry Washington, apart from you're going to spend 2 days in the field. That's a little bit different, isn't it? So you're going to see a change here. Well, again, the skipper. Tell you, the powers of persuasion this skipper, Will Rhodes, has to persuade now Craig Miles to come back on and have another go. His 5 overs for 29 runs. I bet he's geeing him up in the same way that I'm trying to gee you up at the moment with all the possibilities that may unfold this afternoon.
I think he said the same thing what you were saying to me for the last half an hour, that he might get a hat-trick.
The hat-trick. That's what we're all after.
And then you'll have a hat-trick on your name in first-class cricket.
Well, exactly. That's what he's saying to him. Vihari's on 18. Next ball bowled and punched into the offside and no run. That's what he's. Yeah, that's what he's talking. And of course, he is his county captain as well. So
then he has to listen to him. He might not get a decent ball otherwise.
Yeah,
it might get dropped.
I was just thinking that. Perhaps he's just said to him, Milesy, or whatever he might call him as his nickname. Look, you may not want to bowl again, but I'm your county captain, and I won't forget this.
Exactly.
Goes back in from the Finkel end, and he's bowling now to Vihari, and worked away through square leg. There will be a single to the total, and the score moves on to 131 for 2, a lead of 222 runs in the 41st over of this second innings on the third day of this first class match. Even umpire Paul Pollard's having to take his hat off and have a bit of a scratch at the top of his head. Perhaps he's scratching his head as to thinking what's going on. Then umpires have to concentrate. Yeah,
they have to concentrate every ball.
They do.
They're the only one who have to concentrate at the moment.
Well, then maybe so. What's you all about? I'm concentrating. I'm giving it my fullest.
We have to concentrate anyway. We have to concentrate every ball. And I'm talking about the fielders. They don't have to.
There's another Nottinghamshire connection, of course. I suppose Dave's already mentioned that one, hasn't he? Umpire Pollard around the wicket. Ball's full and pushed into the offside. Not going to risk a single here. Vihari and Jadeja, the not-out pair, turning the scoreboard over slowly but surely on a cloudy afternoon. Listening to some of the commentaries from the Royal London One Day Cup, and we picked up one at Sports Extra at lunchtime today from down there near Southampton, talking about glorious weather. As Kevin, the commentator, says, I'm sure it is the same everywhere in the country. Well, it isn't really here. It's not gorgeously sunny today. It's warm enough. This one's worked away again through square leg to the man on the boundary. Haseeb Hameed, he's out of danger there in the distance. He's not a forward short leg, and he's not been throughout this innings. But I tell you what, he's probably worked harder in this innings than he's worked in the first one.
To score 100.
Well, yeah, but you understand, as a fielder even, he's been called on more often. 132 for 2. Vihari on 19. Jadeja on 22. 2 balls left of the over.
My wife said the same thing, that she's working from Cafe Nero because they got air cons because it's so hot in London.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Other coffee shops with air conditioning are available. And this one is played away through square leg and a single, and moves to 20. Mind you, you told me this morning that even though you've got a perfectly good coffee making machine at home, you enjoy just going out there in the morning.
I love my coffee going out in the morning in a cafe.
Cup of coffee, yeah. Cafe culture. Yeah. Which part of London town is this?
Southfields.
Southfield. Oh. Yeah, so it'd be expensive coffee as well down there. It's that part of London where they say, how much is that, please? And I'll say £4, and you'll say, oh, go on, make it £4.50. Makes us feel better about ourselves. And I sort of know. I lived in Wimbledon. Around
next
Wimbledon.
door?
Yeah,
next
exactly.
Door
I lived there for not quite a year, maybe. I was a younger man. Jadeja in bowls, and that's a shorter ball, but pulled down to fine leg, and there'll be a single. So I know what it's all about down there. It's all that's why you go out for your coffee. It's not only who can I see, but who can see me. That's what it's all about on the cafe culture. Vihari on 20, Jadeja on 23.
There's a little message coming for both these players. Seems like it at the moment. The 12th man walks in with the gloves, some water. Even though it's not, the sun's not out, it's still very muggy. It is. It's still a bit muggy.
It is, yeah.
So, yeah, the batsmen, they're taking their water breaks very often. It's running out of breath. Yeah. Carson bowling a very long spell.
But the county 11 are not taking this opportunity for a drinks break. No. And neither of any of the county 11 taken the opportunity just to run off and see if the Will Rhodes have spotted them running off. They're all out there, hanging in there. 225 in front, 134 for 2. Jadeja on 23. And can Carson, beg your pardon, add to his 2 wickets taken so far in this innings? Forward to that one is Jadeja. Nice and steady. You did make the call earlier, apparently, that you thought you'd definitely see him out there batting again today. And you're right for that. He's faced 51 deliveries for his 23. And it's Carson of Northern Ireland and Sussex in bowls and pushed again into the offside. Use of the feet, but no run.
Yeah, he's been more patient than I've ever seen him. He's given himself time. He's not playing those big shots. He loved going after the bowling, love hitting sixes over mid-on and long on and cow corner. But so far in this game, he's been very, very patient with his batting.
23 not out. That's in the air. It's out on the onside. It's going to go towards mid-wicket. There's a man out there in pursuit. It went a long way up there, so they just get 2 runs. And you're almost on a break again, you know. Don't you be worrying. And the girdler will be in. My very good friend David will come in. We've had a few days like this in our time, haven't we, Dave? Eh? Sure. We've had a few matches like this.
I'm sure it's more than few.
Today to 25. Yeah, well, so am I. That one is driven hard and firm and straight. It's going to be 4 runs. Jadeja moves to 29. Oh, this is definitely now pushing towards a declaration. There's no shadow of a doubt about this.
Absolutely not. I think
absolutely they are. They're pushing towards a declaration to set up a thrilling finish.
And then they're going to come out and one of the Indian bowlers is going to take a hat-trick.
It's all going to happen this afternoon. It's all going to happen.
It's all about the hat-trick at the end of the day today.
It could be, yeah.
That's what they're playing for.
140 for 2. 231 is the lead. You know, that was the message. You just get a few quick runs and we'll declare, and then set them something, you know, gettable, so they'll be interested. It's pushed into the offside square again for a single. You know, you don't want a nominal target. You need something that just tempts them.
That's tempting enough for them to think they can go out there and chase it, but then when they go for it, they'll never reach it.
Well, we'll see. Coming up to 20 past 2. And what happens at 20 past 2? You get a break. That's what happens at 20 past 2. And it's Carson bowls, and that's the 16th over completed. And a little bit like one of those cartoon characters that seemingly just disappears so quickly you barely see it. He's out the seat. 141 for 2. Vihari on 20. Jadeja on 30. And 42 overs gone. This innings. Miles has bowled 6 overs, 33 runs, and he's going to continue. Dave Bracey is going to come in, and we'll talk about all those games that we sort of know have been drifting from 11:30 any morning, and we're still there at 6:30 at night.
It was round about this time last week. No, it was Wednesday last week. Final day of Durham and Notts. That was one that we knew as soon as we arrived on the ground first thing in the morning. It was going to be a handshake job around about 5 o'clock.
Start of the next over. Well, half an appeal there from the bowler. Let's see if what that's given. I think it is going to be given as a leg bye, but no real further interest from. Well, there was no interest from anybody by the bowler, really. I think one of his pals may have joined in for a bit of moral support, but that was basically it. 142 for 2, 43rd over. Vihari 20 not out.
Very interesting watching 2 games sort of on the live stream, and obviously today here live, just seeing the quality amongst this India squad, just seeing them flexing their muscles whenever they've had to, just stepping up